June 2nd, 2021, Romi Hoshino was undergoing a criminal trial. But this trial is like no other. It was a trial that changed Japanese copyright law forever. The spectators' gallery is full, but they aren't regular people. They're high-profile members from publishing companies. Their hearts are pounding and fists clenched in rage. Romi was responsible for the biggest copyright infringement case in the history of Japan, an infringement that made him over $2 million in profit and cost them $2 billion in damages, almost killing an entire industry. Today, justice was about to be served, or so everyone thought. Romi looks oddly calm, not because he's sorry, far from it. He knew exactly what he did. He knew the legal loophole, the key to his innocence. This is the story of MangaVillage. Romi Hoshino was born in Tokyo to a Japanese mother and a German-Israeli father. He always had trouble making friends and was always isolated. This continued on until high school, where he felt even more isolated. His grades were not the best either, nowhere near enough to get into any notable university. Upon graduating, he officially became unemployed. His mother had had enough. She kicked Romi out and gave him a final chance. For 6 months, she promised to financially support him. After that, he was on his own. Time was ticking. He only had 6 months to figure something out. From his school experience, he knew he wouldn't survive a regular job. So, he turned to the one thing he actually enjoyed in school, programming class. With minimal programming knowledge, he decided to become a freelance web developer. He set his eyes on an industry that will never die, one that will have ads no matter the circumstance. Thus, his project was born: share videos, an adult website. But success in this field was tricky. There were already several successful websites overflowing with content, so to stand out, he would have to outdo the juggernauts in hosting adult material. An almost impossible task for a one-man operation. But Romi had a master plan: leeching websites. Unlike a typical website that hosts content on its own servers, a leeching site simply provides links to other websites where the actual content is stored. To exploit this, Romi scoured through all his competitors' websites, obtained the links to their content, and posted them on his website as his own. Rinse and repeat, and he now had the most content out of any adult website. He had effectively outdone the juggernauts. Leeching sites had another massive advantage: its safety. At the time, Japanese copyright law only punished content piracy through uploads. A leeching site, however, didn't hold any content on its own servers. They simply acted as the pipeline to other websites where the content is stored. Thanks to this loophole, Romi was able to host ridiculous quantities of adult content on his website, all the while being completely safe from breaking the law. As you can expect, the website was a massive success. It became the most visited adult website in Japan and made Romi over $5 million. His business kept growing, and so did his ego. Several years passed, and it's now 2016. Romi is now 25, and his internet business is booming. Around this time, he hired a few employees. One of them was Ito, a man in his late 30s. Ito pitched an idea to Romi to create a website where people could read manga for free. So together, they started a new website. Revenue would be split 50-50. He poured everything he learned into the new website, spending far more time than usual on its development. The website's name? MangaMura, or MangaVillage in English. MangaVillage's design was revolutionary, unlike anything seen on other piracy sites at the time. At first glance, it looks like any other piracy site. You enter the website, find what you want to read, and click on it. Seems simple, but this was no piracy site. It was a colossal leech site. The website itself contained close to no content. Instead, it was built to serve as a gateway to other websites where the content was actually hosted. Whether said website was legal or not was none of Romi's concern. He used this as a shield to fearlessly grow the manga selection on his website. By 2017, MangaVillage became one of Japan's biggest websites, generating Romi hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. This came at a cost. Several of Japan's leading publishers reported losses up to $1 billion in sales, and the damages showed no sign of slowing down. But none of this concerned Romi. His belief was simple. If they want to stop him, they can change the law, and if they don't, that's on them. In his mind, he was simply a law-abiding citizen. By 2018, MangaVillage became a societal problem, and the government started getting involved. Japan's national television warned the public about the website, hoping people would stop using it. This backfired horribly. Following the broadcast, MangaVillage skyrocketed in popularity, gaining tens of thousands of new users. This confirmed Romi's beliefs. He took this as a sign that no one cared about the manga industry. Romi felt invincible. Publishers, on the other hand, were panicking. Losses were nearing $2 billion in sales. It was a matter of time before they went bankrupt. They begged the government to take action. One day, a group of police officers showed up at Romi's doorstep, search warrant in hand. They spent hours searching through Romi's computer looking for evidence of illegal uploads. They found nothing. For that day, they had no choice but to leave empty-handed. But this wasn't the end. Over the next few months, he was constantly followed, questioned, and harassed by police, journalists, and other members of the media. He also took notice of the government taking steps to change the law. He sensed something was coming. It was time to leave. In a few days, he took down MangaVillage and fled to the Philippines. Not much changed after the move. MangaVillage was gone, but he still had several other sites to manage. One day, he was at an airport in the Philippines. He was on his way to Taiwan for a business trip, when suddenly, he was brought to the Bureau of Immigration Detention Center. At this point, Romi had no idea why he'd been detained. He bribed the employee to bring him a smartphone and was shocked by what he saw. Because of his role in operating MangaVillage, the Japanese government issued an international warrant for his arrest. Romi was furious. Why should he be wanted? After all, he's just a law-abiding citizen. 3 months later, he was brought back to Japan and was immediately prosecuted. What the police revealed during the interrogation left him speechless. Behind Romi's back, Ito had secretly hired multiple people to work for MangaVillage. And the worst part? Everyone, including Ito, had betrayed him, telling prosecutors it was all his idea and that they were merely following his order as his employees. Romi tried to explain that it was a joint venture with Ito, but no one listened. The motivation of the police and the government was clear. Punish Romi as harshly as possible and make an example out of him. Romi was having none of that. During the grueling hours of interrogation, Romi tried to piece together the prosecutor's strategy, and then it hit him. The prosecutors had no idea what they were talking about. When Ito ratted Romi out, he had told the police that Romi was the one who uploaded all the content. Keyword: uploaded. There was no upload. After all, MangaVillage was a leech site. There was no need for uploads. Thus, Romi's defense strategy was set. He shut the hell up. This was a brilliant strategy. To convict Romi, the prosecutors needed to prove that he had personally uploaded copyright materials to MangaVillage. But proving that would be impossible, because no such evidence existed. So by staying silent, he knew the prosecutors would fail to prove his wrongdoing, making him innocent. For the next few months, Romi continued to stay silent, all the way until June 2nd, 2021, the day the trial finally began. In a criminal trial, the prosecutor presents the facts that make up the crime. If those facts are proven with evidence, the defendant is guilty. In Romi's case, the charge was simple on paper. The suspect, Romi Hoshino, publicly transmitted various manga works, thereby infringing on copyrights of their rightful owners. At first glance, that sounds about right. Romi ran a massive piracy site where anyone could read manga for free. But there was one major problem: publicly transmitted. Under Japanese copyright law, public transmission refers to the act of making content downloadable to the public, or in other words, uploading it to a server you control and letting others access it. So, for example, if you uploaded pirated movies onto your own website and made them available to download, that would clearly be a violation. But Romi never did that, so Romi's defense lawyer made a sharp argument. If Romi didn't upload the files and didn't directly transmit to the public, how could he be guilty of public transmission? It was a smart strategy, one that pointed to a gray area in the law. But prosecutors had a counter. He argued that even if Romi didn't host the files, he enabled access to them. MangaMura wasn't just a pile of links. It was organized, sleek, and user-friendly, with search tags, categories, and daily updates. It functioned like a polished manga library. Only, everything in it was stolen. Sure, Romi didn't upload the files, but he made it incredibly easy for millions to read pirated manga, and he knew exactly what he was doing. So it all came down to one question. What does publicly transmit really mean? Is it strictly about uploading files into your own server for public download? Or does it include facilitating public access on a massive scale? Court was under pressure. If they stretched the definition too far, they risked undermining the clarity of the law. But if they let Romi walk free, they'd be sending the message that you can build a multi-million user piracy empire and escape on a technicality. It was a lose-lose situation. Time was running out, and in June 2021, the court made its choice. It's been 3 years since the trial. It's now 2024, and a lot has changed. A new article was added to copyright law which specifically bans the use of leech sites to host illegal content. Romi has finished his sentence and is now a free man. However, one thing remained the same. Romi himself, to this day, he firmly maintains that he did nothing wrong. Just weeks after his release, he launched a YouTube channel where he routinely voices his disgust for the Japanese police and judicial system. Although many have criticized Romi for his unapologetic attitude, there is no denying his talent for spotting opportunities others overlook.